Welcome back to Ebru. Today we are talking with some very interesting conversation to have with Carolyn Sattin-Bajaj. We pronounce that. We'll be talking, she's a professor at the Seton Hall University Department of Education, Leadership, Management, and Policy, and she's here to talk with us about school choice in the States and the overall landscape of the educational system.
Thank you for having me. I'm so pleased to be here this morning.
Well, it's great to have you because I know you come with a lot of experience, but I bet there's some passion here too because you are a new mom of a one-year-old. It's a relatively new mom. Brian has 3 older children. I have 3 children in the school system. What can you tell us that is happening now?
Well, there's so many. Education is such it's an exciting time and a challenging time in education, and I think we're seeing it more and more appear on policymakers and politicians' radars and part of their rhetoric and their speech, and I am interested to see where it goes this campaign season. And one of the interesting and important reforms happening is school choice, which can mean a lot of different things. School choice really initially came about during the desegregation movement when magnet schools were created to try to attract middle-class white families to urban schools and to support integration. And it's really blossomed into a bunch of different policies. And people have heard of vouchers, which are when public dollars are given to families to apply to private schools, and charter schools, another really popular and wide.
Both of those have been pretty controversial, though. You know, when you talk about taking tax dollars to support private schools or semi-private schools or charter schools, a lot of folks go, wait a minute, you know, the public schools are where we need that money.
Exactly. So I think some of the key debates and vouchers, which are not as widely implemented as the conversation may seem, because people talk a lot about vouchers because of that idea that public dollars for private schools. Right. And charter schools also, only about 3% of students in public schools are attending charters. It's growing year by year to about 1.5 million students. But the idea, those are still public schools. They're not private schools, but the teachers don't have to be certified, so it's a different group of teachers. And a lot of the controversy is between teachers' unions, who are really protective, and charter schools. So,
and the question of quality, too.
And the question of quality. Charters and all schools of choice talk about equity as one of the goals many times, saying we're giving families the opportunity to opt out of their assigned school and to find a school that maybe better fits their needs. But the data on whether or not charter schools, students in charter schools are outperforming the district public school next door, it's mixed. We don't have definitive data, and a lot of the critics are saying, until you can show that this is really doing something different and better than district public schools, why do we keep funding and and there's a lot of support from the federal government at this point and on different district levels for charter schools. So that's where you hear the controversy. It's show me the results, and then maybe we'll be able to come behind it.
So how do we grade our system in general when it is a bit divisive in a sense that you have so many areas, you know, or so many ways of teaching children?
So I think we're working toward figuring out interesting ways and more nuanced ways to evaluate schools and teachers, another part of the controversy and a lot of debate about what's a fair way to determine what a teacher contributes to a student learning. Because schools are state and so local in the United States, different from many other countries where it's one national education Ministry of Education that really develops the curriculum, sets the policies, and there's much less diversity.
Well, you actually bring up a good point. How do we compare to other nations, and should we be looking to other nations, you know, for something that they're doing that maybe would work better here?
So there are a lot of different ways, and again, up for debate of how the U.S. or our international comparisons. There's some international examinations that are misused oftentimes because they're not supposed to compare the United States to Finland, which we've been hearing a lot about. Scandinavian countries, and Finland in particular, has shown really great outcomes for student learning, but there are a lot of differences in the design of the education system, in the population they're serving, in the diversity of students. So I think it's a challenging to figure out the most responsible way to learn. I think we should look for promising examples serving a diversity of students, and then see how we can adapt and change to our local context.
There's certainly some things we can borrow from the successes of India, Japan, China, because let's face it, that's where a lot of the brain power is coming from, and our kids are going to have to compete with those kids. And we're finding more and more they're better prepared than our kids are going into colleges.
Some of the question is performance on a standardized test really indicating what we want our students to learn and know and be as citizens in a global world. So I think testing is one way, but there's a lot of backlash against using these test scores as the sole measure to determine this is what we want our students to know and be.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the failings of grading on a curve. You punish the kids who are the best performing by lumping them in with the lowest. But big debates over a lot of those issues. We'll have you back for more conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.